Over 70% of people in North America have way too much month left at the end of their money. A phrase often said by Dave Ramsey in the book Total Money Makeover. If you clicked on this video, then you're on the right path because money has become one of the most important tools in our day-to-day life. And as each day goes by, our hope goes with it. The past 4 months, I really decided to take a look into finance, and I've been reading a lot of different finance books, and previously I always recommended The Richest Man in Babylon. Now that book teaches you how to save money and how to properly look to invest in a safe manner, and I really respected that. But this book just broke it all. This book is not only my favorite finance book, but possibly my favorite book of all time. I mean, it was truly life-changing. Like, I couldn't put this book down no matter what. I brought it everywhere I went, read it throughout the day, at night, before I go to bed. Everywhere. I couldn't stop, couldn't put it down. I needed all the information. I just had to find it all. So now that I finished this book, what I decided I'm going to do in this video is review it and summarize it all at the same time as fast as I can so that we don't waste any time. So if that sounds interesting, let's smash the like button. The first 2 chapters are incredibly important because they talk about money and debt myths. A lot of the beliefs, a lot of the systems that we have in place, essentially, they're all wrong. Yeah, doesn't that piss you off? I mean, everything that you've ever studied, especially like after you read multiple books about finance, just saying that, you know, they're not good, they're not real, and you shouldn't think that way for money. Yeah, I mean, while I was reading it, I literally got so enraged that my first thought was just close the book, burn it. And then my common sense kicked in and I was like, you know what? Let's try to be open-minded. Let's see what this guy has to say. And luckily, I came through because this book has not only helped me get into a better place with my finance, but it's also brought my credit score higher. And overall, it's helped me learn how to become disciplined and really think about my finance properly. So after finishing the chapters about all the myths and analyzing, does this really make sense? And oddly enough, they always did. So shout out to Dave Ramsey because it takes a lot to clarify things to a point where a lot of people can learn to agree even though they doubted it in the beginning. Anyway, right after that, he doesn't waste any time and gets straight into the baby steps. And this is honestly the game changer aspect of your life. So before starting the baby steps, he actually tells you to create an every dollar budget. Every single dollar. I mean, that is crazy. Like, how do you plan where every dollar goes? And the best way that I've learned to do it is actually through his app, Every Dollar Budget, and you can find it on the App Store. It's truly amazing. I don't get paid anything to say it, but I've been using it for quite some time now, and honestly, I love it. So he tells you about a system where you basically start using cash instead of cards. I locked all my cards, stopped using them, got envelopes for food, got envelopes for gas, got envelopes for all the different aspects, and just filled it up with cash. And that is how I've been living my life recently. It's gotten a lot of laughs, it's gotten a lot of looks, but overall it's been working, so I can't complain. If you guys do end up getting the app, it is very simple to use. First you put in your income, then you plan your expenses for the entire month and it goes with your income. And then essentially whenever you spend, you put under spent and it tells you how much you have remaining. Very, very simple. I mean, it's dummy proof, it's amazing. And overall, it's helped me. So once again, I really recommend the app. And with that being said, we can finally get into baby step number 1. Baby step number 1 is creating a starter emergency fund. This is essentially so that you stop using your credit whenever something goes wrong, because at this point in life, we have to realize that things will always go wrong when we don't need it to. So saving up $500 to $1,000 as a starter emergency fund is crucial. I mean, when something goes bad, you don't want to fall back into credit, get on 20% interest, and overall mess up even harder. Instead, you want to have some money as a safety net, as a backup while you do this. So $500 to $1,000, if you ever do need to use money from that fund, you have to go back to this step and refill it up essentially every time. So no matter what step you're on, if you ever do mess up or you have to go back, you always have to go back. That's kind of one of the best parts about this, is the fact that it's something that you always have to keep maintaining and keep focusing on, which I personally really love because this book really taught me how to manage my money over a long period of time, not just for the moment, not just for a certain goal. I mean, literally, no matter how much money I have, it taught me how to associate where what goes. Another thing that a lot of people are gonna have a problem with is, let's say you have a lot of debt. How are you gonna build an emergency fund if you still have to make payments? Essentially, what he says to do is to go back, just pay the minimums, do not pay anything above that, just for a little bit while you save this emergency fund. Try to have a garage sale, try to sell some things online, and overall try to see what you can do to make a little bit more money just so you can put money aside for this emergency fund. Once that is done, baby step number 2, the longest part of it all, is called the debt snowball. And I mean, this is genius. Using the snowball effect to get rid of your debt is honestly one of the smartest things I've ever heard. I heard a lot of people struggling of what they should pay off first based on interest rates and more. In this part of the process, you have to list all of your debts from smallest to biggest, no matter what the interest rate is. Even if it's a personal loan for 0% from a family member that you have to pay back, you're going to write that down. No matter what debts you have, you're going to write them all down from smallest to biggest. You pay minimums on all of them except for the smallest one. You try to put all extra money that you have each month, each paycheck, no matter what, you're putting it all towards that debt. And when you are done paying it off, you are going to use that money onto the next one. So you're going to be paying the minimum from the next one plus whatever you were just paying towards the next one, and it's going to keep snowballing, keep building every single time. If that sounds confusing, which it probably does, I hope the visual that I drew out on screen really helped you guys. If the visual did help, please hit that like button, as it does help the channel out a lot, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. This part of the process, step 2, can take north of 18 months depending on your debt, determination, and income. So I hope you guys didn't expect a little get rich quick, because this is actual concrete advice, and this is really the way to get out of your debt and the way to manage your money going forward. So yes, it might take some time depending how far down you are, but overall it's possible. And the stories in this book, the best part of it is the thousands of people that have done it as well. So you have so many stories, so many inspiring people that have literally transformed their lives, and it shows you that you could do it too. So honestly, take the time, do this debt snowball, get out of debt. You do not want to have any payments. When you're finally out of debt, which I know is easier said than done, but it'll happen, I promise. Once you're finally out of debt, step number 3 is to finish that emergency fund. You want to save up 3 to 6 months of your expenses, depending on your job security and things like that. But overall, I'd recommend 6 months as it is, because look, a pandemic is going on and you don't know how long you might not have a job for. So honestly, 6 months should be my personal recommendation for a minimum, or at least $10,000. That's something I would recommend as well. I think that is an amazing emergency fund. And obviously, if you earn a lot more than that, then you should have more than the 10,000. But that is just my recommendation. You guys do as you please. 3 to 6 months of your expenses should be in this emergency fund. Number 4, start investing 15% of your income towards retirement. Now, this is in accounts like a TFSA, an RRSP, or a Roth IRA if you're in the US, for example. And overall, what you want to do is put money into these accounts that are going to be invested towards your retirement. Dave Ramsey suggests that you invest into 4 different mutual funds, quite aggressive ones really, with a lot of stocks rather than bonds. And honestly, I do recommend it as well, because the overall growth has been amazing. But this is where a lot of people get confused, because number 1, a lot of us don't know these products, and I'd really recommend sitting down with your financial advisor or planner and really going over these and getting more information about it. Every time you sit with a financial advisor, you should always learn something. If not, get a better financial advisor. That's the rule that he mentions in the book. That's the rule he talks about on his podcast and more. With that being said, some people like an S&P 500, which is an index fund, and that is also great. This part isn't in the book. This is really off my advice. That is also great, but the thing with that is that you have to be the one managing it. Mutual funds, they get managed for you, and they always get rebalanced so that you don't have too much exposure to risk. And overall, they're amazing. So I'd personally recommend you guys go invest into mutual funds. If you guys want Dave Ramsey's recommendations of companies or advisors to go to, then check out his website. I truly recommend it. There's some companies on there that I personally have gone through, and I can truly vouch for them. Whew. I hope you guys are enjoying the video so far. I know this is a long and complicated one, but honestly, that's what you want from a book anyway, am I right? So yeah, I do hope you guys are enjoying. I'm trying to do this as fast as I can, but there's a lot to go through. Step number 5 is to save for your kids' college fund. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail with this, but essentially, there's 2 things you should do. Number 1, compare prices of a lot of different colleges, because at the end of the day, what college they go to doesn't really matter. Number 2, don't get caught up in one of those college plans where they make you think that you're saving on inflation, when really, if you invested into a mutual fund, for example, you would get more back. This is something that you have to look into, and personally, I recommend reading the book for more detail about this. This is just a chapter for myself that I said I'd look back on when the time comes. Number 6, pay off the house mortgage. Now, I mean, if you think about it, this sounds a little bit crazy, but at this point, you have no debt, you have over $10,000 in savings, you're investing for retirement, and you have a lot of leftover money that you're no longer paying towards that debt. So use all that money for the biggest ultimate snowball and pay off your house payment. Once your house payment is paid off, which is most people's biggest payment, then you could use that money to travel, you can use that money to have fun and overall enjoy yourself. So just think of the liberty that you get from that. Honestly, it's one of those things that even just thinking about it can make you happy. So I really recommend you do that. You pay off the entire mortgage and overall you get rid of all your debt. Another suggestion that Dave gives is to go for 15-year mortgages rather than the 30-year, because normally the 15 have a higher chance of getting paid. Ironically enough, the 15 makes you more committed to paying it off rather than the 30. A lot of people forget about it, refinance it, and overall they get stuck in this loop. Another thing that they mentioned in the book, which really blew my mind and got me thinking about it a lot, is a lot of people like to use the mortgage to get a tax return or to get tax benefits in general. And the more I started thinking about it, the more I realized, you know what, if you fully get rid of your mortgage payment per year, you're going to get back far more than you would with a tax return or tax benefit. I mean, think about it. If you're paying $1,800, $2,000, whatever it might be on your house, then imagine getting that much per month back than rather just a few thousand from the government. I mean, that is something that I've seen a lot of people recommend doing, when in this book it says to just pay it off, and he's right. You get a lot more money back. Step 7, and the final step, is to give. Now, there's no point of having so much money if you're not going to help others. So be sure to donate to charities, donate to your synagogues, donate to your churches, whatever it may be. Overall, try to contribute a bit more. And honestly, the feeling you're going to get back is greater than anything in the world. There's no better feeling than helping, and that is in our human nature. We love to help, even if you don't realize it, even if you forgot what that feeling is like. Once you start doing it, I promise that's what's going to bring you joy to your life. And with all that knowledge, you're going to know how to manage your money, how to invest for retirement. And the only thing that's really missing is how to get some more money right now. And his investment strategy is quite simple. He talks about just mutual funds and really simple rental property investing. Now, essentially what you do, you buy another property, which yes, it's another mortgage, but he tells you to pay that off, and you rent it out. So think about this. A lot of the time when you get a property, you're cash flowing it, right? So you're charging people rent maybe $100 to $200 more than the actual mortgage, which is great. But imagine this, once you pay off that mortgage and you're getting $1,000 something in rent every single month on a house that's already paid for, most of that is just going straight to your pocket. So I mean, paying off each property one at a time is honestly quite worth it if you do it the way that he describes it. Now you can get multiple mortgages at the same time, rent them all out, and the rent is covering your mortgage as it is, but with your own contribution at the same time, you can pay that off quite fast and keep multiplying it and overall getting more and more cash flow. So overall, that is the investment strategy that he explains in the book. And with that being said, if you guys made it to this point, then honestly, comment banana in the comment section down below, just so I know who the real ones are. And I promise you, I'm going to show you guys so much love in that comment section, because honestly, just thank you for, you know, staying here through all this intense knowledge. And overall, I wish you the best of luck with your total money makeover. I really recommend everybody gets a copy of this book and really reads it for themselves to understand it better, because there's a lot more information in the book, as well as I mentioned a lot of the stories of other people doing it as well. And I find that seeing people with similar incomes to you in similar situations really does help. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please share this with your family and friends, like the video, and subscribe if you're new, as it really does help the channel out. Lastly, I'll see you guys on one of the videos on screen now. Peace.